So, we look like we're ready. But this is day one. It's about the work. And I've said that from day one. It'll always be the same message. It's about work. You got to go earn your right every year. It doesn't matter what the players are, the coaches, expectations, where you were, where you're going. We got to work, man.
Wants to throw it to Sewell. He caught it. Billy Sewell with a first down. Oh, yes. The big man dives down to the 31-yard line. Oh, that is beautiful.
Let me tell you something. I love this team now. I got goosebumps, gentlemen. I love this team.
Fields looking, pressured, hit from behind, taken down. Aiden Hutchinson got him.
What do you think about the secondary?
Just look at the name, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You drafted Branch.
It started off with that huge hit on Beasley.
We call him things out. There's a big hit right away. And boom!
Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Goff dropped it in the bucket that time.
We're in our window now to win.
Aaron Rodgers exits the NFC North as a loser. Hey, what's happening, everybody out there in Rocked On Detroit Lions Nation? Detroit Lions world, man. The world beaters are on a prowl. The Detroit Lions had completely dominated the Packers last night, and I'm still reeling after this win of just how well they played and how dominant of a showing it really was. We expected them to come out with all the momentum from the Falcons' victory, and they did it again, and they're going to continue to do it. This team's for real. It's different in Motown. And we need to enjoy it as fans, as podcasters, as whatever we are in life. We need to enjoy it. Take a moment, breathe it in, and enjoy it, because it's been a long time coming. 30 plus years it's been since the Lions have done anything really in this division. And for the first time in a long time, very long time, they have an opportunity to do something that many of us have never witnessed. And that's win the crown of the NFC North. And I think they'll do it. After watching last night, I'm pretty confident they're going to do it. So coming back in tonight, because I wanted to relive that win again. We had some breaking news earlier today with Jameson Williams' suspension being lifted. So we'll talk about that for a brief moment. And then we're going to roll right into what happened last night. Now, we spent a lot of time last night, obviously, in the live stream. And I think we did pretty good. We had a pretty good response. Want to thank everybody again for joining us last night. It was fun. And Andy and I are going to work out our kinks. We had our conversation today, our little meeting about, how to make things better and how to make the content easier. And we're getting there. So we'll do it again. I think the Monday night game is probably the next big one for us, but definitely all the division away games. We'll definitely be doing some live stream and getting everybody involved. So again, thanks to everybody for jumping in with us last night. It was fun. So the first thing I wanted to start with, man, is, little statement of the night. The Detroit Lions emphatically ended Aaron Rodgers' era in Green Bay last season. 263 days ago was the last time the Detroit Lions had to face Aaron Rodgers. This is a new division without that man's face involved in it. And on Thursday night, last night, Dan Campbell and this Detroit Lions team handled Rodgers' successor, one that Packers Nation and some of the pundits around the NFL all slated love to be that next shoe-in as the next Aaron Rodgers or the next Brett Favre. And I said it back in April. I said it in May. I said it in June. I had zero confidence that Jordan Love, one, was going to be able to do anything this season, and two, maybe not even at all. We haven't seen anything from him. We don't know much about him. But, you study the kid a little bit, and after watching a couple of the games that he did get into over the last couple of seasons, I just didn't see it. I really didn't. So could be a major issue in Green Bay moving forward that they may have to go out and find a quarterback by next season if he continues to play the way he did last night. Because he played shook, and he should have been shook because Aiden Hutchinson was all over him. So Jordan Love in his first primetime appearance in Green Bay, one that they're used to, right? The Detroit Lions kicked him in the teeth in convincing fashion. They won the game 34-20. The Lions are now 4-1 under Dan Campbell's tutelage versus the Packers, now winning 4 straight. The only loss that Dan Campbell has against the Packers was the first game that his Detroit Lions team suited up against the Packers in 2021. And since then, he's just gone on a tear. Now, he is evened out with the Bears and the Vikings. I did post that earlier today. He's 2-2 versus the Bears, 2-2 versus the Vikings. And that should change here pretty soon as they're up on the schedule here in a few weeks. And we expect to get some more wins. So great job for Dan Campbell. He's really turning this franchise around. Not just him. Brad Holmes, of course, Sheila Hamp. They've all done an excellent job. Chris Spielman, you name it. You work Mike Disner. I mean, the entire crew in Allen Park has done a phenomenal job with this Detroit Lions team. And sky's the limit for sure. And we're starting to see it now. One more major point about this game last night. Detroit led 27-3 at halftime. Watching the game and doing the live stream, it didn't even seem real. And at one point I asked Andy, is this really a game? Like, are we really watching this happen right now in Lambeau? And it was. I mean, you had to pinch me to make it real. And it was real. The Lions had outgained Green Bay 284 yards to 21 in the first half. I think actually Green Bay had closer to 40 yards in the first half. But either way, it was less than 100, and it was most likely less than 80, and it was a bad day at the office for LaFleur, as he stated in the press conference today, that the Detroit Lions completely kicked their ass. That's words out of his mouth, not mine. But I watched it happen. It was the Detroit Lions' highest scoring first half against the Packers. This is an amazing stat. In the entire series of 188 game history, the highest scoring first half against the Green Bay Packers in the Detroit Lions 188 game history. Dan Campbell, whatever he's feeding these guys, whatever they're doing week in and week out, it's working. And they need to continue to do it. Bringing in David Montgomery, I admit I was a little bit worried. I mean, I still am about his fumbling issues. As we noticed last night, one of his first touches, he almost lost. But he held on to the rock. He was able to complete the game without a fumble. And that was good to see because he's had a fumble in each game so far. But the Lions are making history under Dan Campbell, and the books are being completely rewritten on both sides of the ball right now, offense and defense. And that's just really fun to watch, especially as a loyal, Lions fan watching this team for more than 38 years. I finally have something to talk about that doesn't seem that, and of course we do bring in the refs at times, but every single season it's always the refs this, the refs that, or the NFL this, or the coach that, and sell the team. Not me, but you hear it from everybody. You hear all the Lions haters out there, saying all these negative things, and we're not going to hear it anymore. We're not going to take it anymore. We're not going to put up with it anymore. It's different in Detroit. It's time to put our foot down as Lions fans. It's time to show this world who the one pride Detroit Lions Nation is, and keep motoring forward because they need us. The team needs us just like we need them. Biggest keys to the game is where we're going to head next. I think first, I think the Lions were major benefactors of Jared Goff's cool, calm, collected demeanor. We see it week in and week out. Nothing really rattles this guy. Whether he's under pressure or whether he has all day in the pocket, he can play the game either way. His experience was clearly on display last night. He was in some tough spots at times. He was under pressure a little bit here or there. But his experience in his demeanor is what got him through starting off the game with the third, play of the game, throwing an interception. And after that early turnover and giving up 3 points to Green Bay, Goff had to shake it off. And he shook it off. And, he settled right in. he settled right in with a touchdown pass. The next series, he gets up, he gets off the bench, he gets in the game, and he hits AMON in the very next series. And the offense really never looked back. They just kind of glid right through the rest of the game. And they looked good. Looked like a well-oiled machine at times. There were some times where Monty and GIBBS both were getting hung up at the line, but Ben Johnson just kept pounding the rock, kept feeding it to Monty, and it started to open up some things in the pass game. And I said it again to Andy last night that, man, when you're watching these games, you just don't feel the big plays because there really isn't a ton of big plays. We had a couple last night. But we're used to those big splash plays, for all those years with Matt Stafford that, the big downfield bombs and the vertical threat. This is a different offense. It's a different way of doing business in Detroit. They can go downfield, and they're going to be going downfield here pretty soon. And the reason why is because Jameson Williams is back. He's back next week, Monday, 2 weeks early. So hopefully this kid's grown up a little bit. I've been seeing that come across the waves on social media today, that some of the fans are worried that Jameson Williams may not be ready for the limelight, may not have grown up enough. And I hope that he puts that to rest. I hope that he walks in to Allen Park on Monday ready to go. He's been in the facility. Right after week 3, he was allowed to come back to the facility and at least do some training and some work with the trainers and rehabbing from his hamstring injury. And from all sources that I've read so far, his hamstring injury is a thing of the past. He should be good to go. So barring any setbacks, or anything between now and Carolina, personally, I'm expecting to see Jameson Williams in there. And quite honestly, as Andy said today on our phone call, he's going to probably jump right in and take all of Marvin Jones' snaps. I mean, Marvin Jones has done nothing for this team so far on the field. But also on the field, in the locker room, Marvin Jones does a lot. Marvin Jones is the consummate professional. He is the consummate team leader. He's somebody that will teach these guys and mentor these guys on how to be better professionals. So even though he's not giving us a ton of output on the field, he's doing a lot behind the scenes. And those are, the things that we don't see all the time, but you will hear about it, from the coaching staff and during the press conferences or during training camp and during OTAs. And, when you're at training camp, you see the work that he does and how he's, wrapping himself around players like Jameson Williams or the younger guys, like Amon Ra, and really instilling in them what it's like to be a professional player and how they should be acting on and off the field. So Marvin Jones is not, useless by, just the stat line. He's a major piece to this Detroit organization as a foundational element for being somebody that can lead this team and be a leader on this team and to help keep these guys in line. So he may not get much snaps, once Jameson comes back, but we do expect him to continue, doing the things that he's been doing for this team. It was a historically bad night for the Packers. I mean, the worst game I've seen the Packers have in a long time. Their halftime deficit was the 3rd highest in Lambeau history and the largest since 2006. Green Bay was outgained, like I said earlier, 284 yards to 20 in the first half. And they had 12 fewer first downs than Detroit in the game's first 30 minutes. So when you talk about domination, I mean, just those few keys right there. Historically bad night for the Packers, number one. Outgaining them in every critical, area of the stat line, number 2. David Montgomery rumbling for 121 yards and 3 touchdowns on 32 carries. Aiden Hutchinson, 1.5 sacks, paced the Lions defense for domination last night. The defense completely slaughtered, any attempt by the Packers to get anything going. They didn't even allow a first down to the Packers until, it was about the halfway through the second quarter or something like that when the Lions had a penalty. That gave the Packers a first down. And then Jerry Jacobs finally shows up. The guy that I've been calling a liability still has some things to clean up. He's still getting a pass interference call in every single game, albeit some of them probably really aren't pass interference. But he finally shows up in the stat line with 2 interceptions last night. These are the keys to the game. And this is why this Detroit Lions team is winning, because they're playing as a complete team, all sides. Offense, defense, special teams, they're all doing it. They're doing it very well. So I'm going to move into some game stats here. We'll just recap it briefly. Jordan Love was 23 of 36 for 246 yards with 1 TD and 2 interceptions. Finished the night with a 69.9 rating. Dobbs was his number one target last night, 9 passes and 95 yards. Rookie Jaden Reed added 3 catches for 55. Tight end Josiah DeGora had 4 catches for 34. And as I stated was going to happen, Aaron Jones didn't do anything. But Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon only combined for 29 rushing yards on 10 attempts. They abandoned the run early. And they had to. The Lions are putting up points too quick. Give me just a second here. It looks like we've got some chat issues tonight. Give me 1 second. I don't know if I'm going to be able to undo it. Something's linked in there and it's not letting me see the chat. It did it to us last week too. If I do not get to your chats tonight, I apologize, but do us a favor. If you go to the Rock Down Detroit Lions page and then you go to this live stream, right? You can send comments in there and I might be able to see them. I'll put my phone up and I'll try to catch them. So anyway, back to the game stats. Like I mentioned on Wednesday's show, I told y'all that Watson and Jones were going to be non-factors. They still had to come in and take a hit and get up. They were going to be non-factors as long as the defense could get some pressure and make this team, this Packers team, more one-dimensional. And they did just that. The Packers only completed 3 of 11 on third downs. They put up a total of 230 yards of offense. But that was all in the second half. And it was all in the second half in what really was garbage time. I felt like the Lions defense started to coast a little bit. They came out flat in the second half. They rode that first half high pretty hard into halftime, and they came out pretty flat. So they let Green Bay, get a few drives and that gave them a few yards for the day. On the Lions side, Jared Goff had a decent night. Wasn't career making, that's for sure. He was 19 of 28 for 210 yards. 1 TD, 1 interception, early interception. 86.2 rating. Montgomery, man, he got off to a real slow start. I even asked Andy at the beginning of the stream, I said, he just doesn't look like he has it tonight. And he was kind of feeling his way. He was getting his legs back underneath him. He was taking that hit and he was getting back up and he was fine. And he rolled, man, 121 yards on 32 attempts. They fed that kid buckets of balls last night. And he took it and he ran with it. In the best game he's ever had in his first victory against the Green Bay Packers. Coming from the Chicago Bears, the lowly Bears, Montgomery never had an opportunity to beat the Packers, and now he's on a winning team that's beating the Packers. JAHMYR GIBBS added 40 yards on 8 rushes, and Khalif Raymond, that beautiful wide receiver or end around, or the reverse, I guess is what it really was, added 40 yards of rushing on the night. Josh Reynolds was the leading receiver with 69 yards on 3 catches. That's the thing that I want to point out about Reynolds. And I said it in Wednesday's show. When you look at Reynolds' stats, he's leading the receivers in the length of catch, right? Or how many yards per catch. He's not getting a ton of balls. He's not getting a lot of looks. He's not getting all the targets. But when he's open, and he's usually open for more than 20 yards. He's been Jared Goff's quote-unquote deep threat so far, and that's going to change here in about 10 days. Sammy the Bull Laporta, man. I expected him to go 7 for 80 last night. He threw another 56 yards on 4 grabs. Amon-Ra finished the night with 56 yards on 5 grabs and a TD. First TD of the game. When the Lions started cooking, man, they were cooking. They completed 7 of 13 on third down, 2 fourth down conversions. The Lions offense completely stole the ball last night. They held it tight for 37 minutes and 58 seconds of the game. That's ball control. And if you remember from Wednesday's show, I said that was going to be one of the major keys. The defense had to get in and shut the Packers down, in the run game. Eliminate the RPO game. and don't allow the Packers to start with any sort of play action. And if they could do that, they would have an opportunity to control the ball on both sides of the clock, and the Lions did just that. They had the trifecta last night. They shut it all down, and they were able to control the clock. 37 minutes and 58 seconds of the game, the Lions had the ball on offense, which only left the Packers with 22 minutes and 2 seconds. I would give 2 minutes of that probably to the refs, to be honest with you. But this is how you win ball games, right? This is how you do it. And again, exactly what I expected the Lions do. As long as they showed up like they did against the Falcons and dominate that run game, kill the Packers' chances at running the RPO and eliminate the play action, forcing Love to drop back. We know that he has an incredibly inaccurate arm. And it's kind of hard to say because normally when you're talking about a quarterback, it's an incredibly accurate arm. But Love, he's having a tough go at it this season. He just never had a chance. They were all over him like flies on you know what. Now, I am going to go a little off script here for just a second. The refs did try to help the Packers. And I hate even bringing this stuff up. But I'm going to bring it up because this better be the last time we see it. It better be the last time it happens. It better not be something that creeps up towards the end of the season. But penalizing the Lions 8 times for 70 yards last night. The Packers had 4 penalties for 31 yards. It was a far cry from reality, in actuality, of the game. The holding call on Glasgow, he was between 2 defenders. He wasn't on anybody. He didn't hold anyone. The phantom hands to the face by Hutchinson, hand was up underneath the shirt. That's not hands to the face. And how about the 000s on the clock to end the third quarter for about 2.5 seconds? It's just more of the same manufactured help that the Packers get from the refs every single time the Lions come to town. Matter of fact, it's even happened in our own backyard plenty of times. Look, we're not naive to it. I'm not naive to it. I've been doing this a long time. I've been watching the Lions almost every single game, home and away, for nearly 4 decades. I've seen a lot of horrendous calls, missed calls, blatant no calls that have all been clear attempts to change the game's momentum and or outcome. And in many cases, it has. And I'm going to leave you with a few that you may remember. And then we're going to move on, and we're going to bury this, and we're not going to bring it up again. Because like I said, we hope that it doesn't creep up again. It just can't. But here are a few you may remember. Thanksgiving Day game. I don't remember the year exactly, but I know it was Thanksgiving Day. Greg Jennings, pass interference call. In the same game, it was Kyle Vanden Bosch roughing the passer call. Then, about a year or two later, you got the touchdown that wasn't, right? Titus Young gets in, but then they say it wasn't a touchdown. He had control. He had the ball, 2 feet down, completed the catch, no touchdown. And due to game circumstances, I think the Lions wasted their timeouts or couldn't challenge the play or something. The Lions lose that game by 4 when that touchdown changed the point swing, or the lack of the touchdown changed the point swing by 4. How about the Monday night game in 2019? There's so much that happened in this game. 6 or 7 things that happened in that game. For sake of time, I'll bring it to a few. Kerryon Johnson, touchdown call. Or no touchdown call. How about the defensive holding on Tracy Walker? And then the unnecessary roughness on Tracy Walker to follow. Or the illegal hands to the face by Trey Flowers. Then the non-pass interference call against Marvin Jones. And then yet again, the one that we all remember is the last illegal hands to the face by Trey Flowers that effectively ended the game. And Green Bay won 23-22. Got a couple of chats that are popping up in here, and I did want to reiterate that I am going to have an issue with the chat tonight. I don't know what I did. I must have linked the group, and sometimes when I link the group, the chats don't show up, so I apologize. But back and good as new is Robert Fournier. He says the clock to 000 non-reviewable. What if that happened in any other pro sport? Man, that's a great question. That's a phenomenal question, right? So here's the deal. I haven't been able to dig into the NFL rules today, but let's just look at it from a clock perspective or a completion of the catch perspective. The Packers completed a pass on that play. So the Lions have every right to throw a challenge flag to challenge the catch, right? Well, by process of challenging the catch, can't Dan Campbell say, and oh, by the way, the play shouldn't have counted? I at least wanted to stop the game to throw my flag to challenge the catch because I can do that. Whether he caught it clearly or not, Dan Campbell has the right to do that. You may not be able to challenge the clock per se, but you could challenge the catch and then bring that up. But I also believe that there is an element within the NFL rules that the time of possession, the time on the clock, all of that stuff, getting all that stuff right still has to be looked at somewhere. Someone had to have looked at that play throughout the play. The refs all knew that the clock was at 0. They just let it happen. They just let them have one last play to end the quarter. I mean, what would have been so difficult about just ending the quarter, going to the fourth, and then running the play? I don't think that they are in fear of a delay of game. So why let it happen? I mean, when the clock hits 0, I mean, your team, your guys are trained not to give up, right? Not to stop until they hear a whistle. But it almost becomes nature, right? I mean, you see the clock's at 0:00, and you're thinking, all right, play's dead. They're going, into the fourth quarter. Who knows if that happened? But to answer the question, the second part, what if that happened in another pro sport? Look, I don't think it's going to happen in another pro sport. I think that they're diligent enough to make sure that the clock is managed properly, to make sure that the plays are run properly. And I could be totally wrong in thinking that way, but the NBA, I mean, there's really no clock in the MLB except for there used to be the pitch clock. I think they're still doing that, but they'll look at that stuff, and I don't think that there's really an issue with it. Hey, welcome back in, Donald Wilburn. Nice to have you guys back in tonight. So both TDs should be on the refs' career stats. You're right. They really should be. I mean, look, the Lions, they were flat on defense, but I think that some of those penalties allowed the Packers to get rolling a little bit. And it was getting to a point where they were within 10 points and you started to feel the walls kind of closing in a little bit. Like, are we about to get home cooked again here? Like, how do you go from 27-3 to now you're within 10? And a lot happened in that third quarter. Caught us off guard. Which part is that? The 000s that you're talking about? I would say so, 100%. So anyway, there's been too many instances where the refs have tried to help the Packers, and I'm going to say this again. I said it earlier today. I said it last night. What the Lions are doing right now is great for football business in the NFL. We've watched this fandom grow. I mean, across the pond is growing like wildfire. The people that we have in our groups and our pages are all over the world. And this started out as a homegrown podcast. So to see that we've grown internationally, Ireland, Australia, and UK is amazing. But when you look at it a little bit deeper in the games that they're now playing over there and how big they're growing it, they have more fans in their stands, in their soccer stadiums, than we do here in our stadiums, and they're filling it out. So, the NFL is legit to want the Lions to do well. They're one of the hottest teams, everywhere right now. They're great for business. So I just can't imagine that the NFL is going to allow this stuff to happen much longer. Someone's got to say something about it. And I know that I'm going to continue to say something about it if I have to. Maybe it'll reach somebody at some point. Maybe it won't. But at least I got it off my chest. So let's get into why the Lions won, right? This won't be a super long show tonight. Andy's busy doing some family stuff tonight. But I at least wanted to wrap this up. Talk about it a little bit. Because we're going to have a little bit of a layoff. Take a break. Get some things done. And get back at it next week. So the Lions dominated the first half, right? They never let the Packers get within one score in the second half. The Lions built this big lead on the strength of their pass rush last night, clearly running on momentum from the 7-sack performance just 4 nights earlier against the Falcons. Let me say that again. A 7-sack performance 4 nights earlier against the Falcons. And the Lions put up another 5 last night. 12 sacks in 2 games, 12 sacks in 4 days, 5 days. Incredible. The Lions dominated the rushing attack. You look at what the Falcons did, right? The Lions put up 211 yards on the ground and 3 TDs last night. Montgomery became the first Lion to rush for 3 touchdowns at Lambeau Field and the first Detroit Lions player to top 100 yards rushing combined with 3 touchdowns since James Stewart did in 2000. So the Lions are doing something right. They're doing a lot right. And they're having a lot of success doing a lot of different things that we haven't seen before. And I think that that's a byproduct of, one, the Lions are in their 2nd season in the Ben Johnson offense. Things are a little bit slower now for Goff and the offense, at least the ones that were there last season. They're able to take advantage of things and check in and out of things a little bit easier now, and things are running a lot smoother. Secondly, Aaron Glenn's defense is finally starting to snap together. They're finally starting to figure out who's going to do what and who's going to do it the best. And those guys are having great success right now. Secondly, Montgomery, he had this to say after the game, and I thought that this was just incredible. He said, it just felt real. It just felt real different coming in with the group of guys that I'm with. I'm blessed to come out here with these guys and get the dub. That's big for me. I can tell my son that I beat the Packers. I'm so excited to say that and excited to be part of this team. This win meant so much to Monty last night. He's been wanting to beat the Packers ever since he was in Chicago. Never had the opportunity. That's because the Bears suck. They're almost more of a laughingstock than the Lions have been. Even though the Lions didn't have the greatest season in 2021, and they had a great season last year, bounce back season. We're not ones to brag anymore or brag at all, because we've been there. We've been in the dumpster fire of the league for a long time. That ends. It's done. It's over with. It's time to move forward. But this game meant a lot for Monty, and I'm glad that he got it, and I'm glad he had a big game coming back after the injury. All right, the second point, why the Lions won. Goff had several timely 3rd down completions last night to keep the offense moving, many of which were big gains that led to Lions scoring points right after. For instance, Detroit's first touchdown to Amon-Ra St. Brown came after that big tight end, or that big play to tight end Sam Laporta for 35 yards on a 3rd and 5. And I'm going to say this again. I'm probably going to say it every week. When you watch Sam Laporta catch the ball, just do me the favor and watch how he catches the ball, corrals the ball, and he's already upfield, all in one move. It's like playing shortstop as a baseball player, right? And you're moving all in one move to scoop, catch, and throw, all in one motion. And that's what it looks like Sam Laporta is doing when he's catching, corralling, and he's getting north in one motion. It's very fluid. He does it probably one of the best that I see do it in the NFL right now. Kelsey's the only guy that does it better, in my opinion. And it's early, but that's just my opinion. All right, let me get to this next chat here from Donald. How about that fan that paid hundreds of dollars for great seats and acts like an idiot? Glad we curb stomped them. Go Lions. Yeah, you must be talking about the couple of fans, one that were pouring beer on Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then the other one that was flicking Amon-Ra St. Brown off when he was just coming around slapping 5s to some Lions fans. Look, they got their butts kicked last night. They didn't feel good about it. They're pissed off. They're angry. I've been there many times. But I wouldn't act like that. I wouldn't act like a total idiot and go create problems, with people that I don't know. You just never know what can ensue. You just never know, what type of drama you're going to get yourself into, for one. And two, I would never want to be banned from a stadium. I would never want to get in trouble at a stadium that I couldn't go back and watch, a game or partake in a concert or whatever. But again, that's just not me. I wouldn't want to do that. So it's classless, and I bet those seats are, probably closer to $800-900 for the night, depending on when they buy them. If they're season tickets, I'm sure they're getting a little bit better break, but yeah, those seats up front, not cheap. All right. So after the game, Goff had this to say, and I love this. I absolutely love this. He says, "Send us anywhere, line us up against anyone, and we feel like we can go in there and beat them." Major statement. He said that's a good feeling to have. What a major statement. Line us up anywhere against anyone, and we're going to go in and beat them. Well, they showed it last night. You know, they were a light favorite in last night's game, and man, was Vegas wrong. Now, the game finished a little bit closer, right? Garbage time points, some other shenanigans that were going on. But the Lions lined up last night, and they kicked the snot out of the Packers, and it feels great on a Friday. The Lions took the Packers' best punch in the second half. You know, like I said, they kind of came out flat. The defense did in the second half. But quickly, the Lions ended any hopes of a comeback. They orchestrated a 14-play, 75-yard drive that milked almost 9 minutes off the clock. Clearly, this was frustrating for a few players for the Packers as Quay Walker, did what he did. But the Packers were down 27-17, forcing the Lions to take a field goal after this masterful drive was put together. They're down at the Packers' 12-yard line. They actually bring out the field goal unit. I have to say I was a bit surprised, and I said it on the live last night. This is not a time when Dan Campbell kicks a field goal. His team just marched all the way down the field, and you're sitting at the 12-yard line. I can't remember if they were up by 10, 12, 14, whatever they were up at that point, but they had a marginal lead. I expected them to go for it, but I was wrong. Dan played conservative. He brought the field goal unit in. Riley Patterson knocks it through, but Quay Walker lost his jumps over the middle of the line. Maybe it's in the heat of the moment, whatever. Maybe he forgot about the rule, but he gets flagged for leaping over the center. Well, that gives Lions 1st and goal to go. Lions bring back out the offense. They run the ball 3 straight times, but once again, stop short. I'm expecting 4th down. You're going to bring out the field goal unit. They leave the offense out there. All right, we're going to get the Packers to get them to jump offside. We're going to try to ram it down their throat, 3 or 4 more times and get it into the end zone. Well, that didn't happen either. When Jared Goff snapped the ball, I kind of took a breath last night. Like, you got to be kidding me. Like, take the points, stack the points. But Monty barreled through, man, right up the right guard and got into the end zone. And that sealed the deal last night. That put the punctuation mark on last night's win for the Detroit Lions. Goff is now, and this is a very cool stat. And I know you can pull stats from just about any direction to make them look good. But this is a pretty large sampling size. 14 starts now. Goff is 11-3. 14 starts. From last night, Goff is now 11-3. That's almost a full season. Probably should take a few, look at a few more games behind it. But 11-3, man, that's no slouch. Even if they would have lost, the other 3 games, it's 11-6. It's a hell of a season. Advanced passing stats right now. Goff is sitting at 4 games. Obviously, 4 games started. He's completed 91 for out of 131 attempts, 1,029 yards, 7.5 yards per catch, and 382 yards by way of the yak. So, he's not having a slouchy season right now. Goff is on pace to break 4,400 yards for the season. He's right where he was last season, and I'll get more into his advanced passing stats and that next week. And I might come on during the week and just kind of highlight a player or two, but right now, Goff is actually doing way better than he was last season. And I don't see it. Like, it's just, I keep saying it over and over again. I don't see it because it just seems like it's happening too easily for him. But he is having a much better season already than last season, and he had a heck of a season last season. So we had the injury scare last night. Brian Branch played a hell of a game, toughed it out, injured his right ankle in the 3rd quarter, carted off, came back, returned to the game, made some big plays, and then he went down again. And as of today, from what we know, it's just the ankle. And it doesn't look like it's going to be anything serious. He should be ready to go for Carolina. But that's, day one, Dan Campbell talking. We'll find out more in a few days when the swelling kicks in or, the pain kicks in or whatever, and Branch gets evaluated. And we'll see where that goes. But as of right now, Branch is going to be okay. An odd one, and I didn't notice this, but Chase Lucas, I did see him get in last night and get some time and make some plays, but he went out around halftime with an illness. Not real sure what that's all about. And then lastly on the injury report is linebacker Barnes. He has a lower body injury, was questionable to return last night. And I really don't have any more updates at this time. That's all that was out there for today. And that's really all we had to bring into the show tonight and talk about it. So, hey, Hatter's House, nice to see you again. I don't know if you got a chance to join us last night in the live stream. We did a live stream, full game last night. So I'm exhausted, actually. Up late last night. Did some breaking news this morning on Jameson Williams. So let's flip over to that. If you guys haven't heard, I'm sure you have by now. But the NFLPA and the NFL Players Association, everybody kind of got together to talk about these gambling rules. Apparently, this has been going on now for a few months. They've been talking about it, trying to figure out a different plan. And let me see if I can pull it up here. Essentially, what's going on is they made some changes to the rules. If you get caught gambling and it's not an NFL team, right? It's on a college game or something like that, and it's done within the facility. It's done within your team facility, whatever that is called. Wherever you are, the team bus, the team plane, the team hotel, the team practice facility, the team stadium, whatever. If you get caught, it is an automatic 2-game suspension without pay. Your second infraction, I believe, was a 6th-game suspension without pay. And let me back up here. Clearly, if you bet on an NFL game, it's an indefinite suspension, minimum of a 1 year or 2 years if the player bets on an NFL game involving his team. So if you bet on an NFL game that's not your team, it's a 1 year. If you bet on your NFL team, it's a 2-year minimum. Actual or attempted game fixing is a permanent ban. Inside information and tipping is an indefinite suspension, minimum of a year. And the third party or proxy betting, meaning if you had your friend do a bet for you, it's an indefinite suspension, minimum of 1 year. But this is where things change today. First violation, 2-game suspension without pay. Second violation, 6-game suspension without pay. Third violation, suspension without pay for at least 1 year. So how did this change everything for the Detroit Lions? And how does a Friday get this much better, right? When they just kicked the snot out of the Packers, and now Jameson Williams' suspension has been lifted. He's, allowed to do everything he can do and needs to do with the team beginning Monday. Now, he's been back in the team facility. He's been training. He can't practice, but he's been training, with the trainers and getting medical help and everything to recover from his hamstring. But now he can start practice on Monday, and he'll be part of the 53-man roster as long as he's ready to go. And as far as we know, he's ready to go. So how does things get this much better? Look, he hasn't done anything yet, too, and I don't think that's any secret. I think a lot of us are kind of biting our tongue with Jameson right now because we just don't know what we're going to get from him. So exactly here, this comment from Donald Wilburn. Why couldn't they have this meeting in the preseason? I hate to throw this out there too, but the Lions are for real now. So that they decide, all right, the Lions are for real. Maybe we should give them a player back for all the good things they're doing. They're going to do something this season. They're good for football. They're good for business. Let's go ahead and put the rules, back into play where they should be. Let's get Jameson on the team and see what this Lions team's all about. Not saying that happened. I hate to go down the conspiracy rabbit hole, But, this is kind of a crazy day to have this happen on a Friday. I mean, you would think that the Lions would have had to have known about this last night or even the day before that or the week before that. If they've been talking about it this whole time, they've really done a great job keeping it under wraps, because not one person in the entire media community knew that these conversations were going on. And if they did, they didn't tell anybody until today. So, hey, it's good for us. We're getting a dynamic playmaker with speed that can take the top off of defense back on Monday. The conversation I had with Andy today was, don't expect Jameson to come out and have a great game. Of course we want him to. But just like I said last night about Aaron Jones and Christian Watson, he's going to need to get his legs underneath him. He's going to have to get out there and get hit and get up, right? He hasn't practiced. He hasn't taken a hit in weeks that we know of. We don't know, what his workout regimen has been while away from the team. We don't know if he's been suiting up and taking hits daily to stay in game shape and impact shape. But his body's going to be soft right now if he hasn't. He hasn't taken a hit. So he's going to have to go out and re-earn his stripes, so to speak. Here's my big plan for Jameson. If I were the coach, clearly, I'm here. I'm not there, but this would be my plan. He'd be just a big decoy. I mean, you really don't need him to do much. The offense right now is clicking. Imagine yourself this. Jameson Williams is lined up on the right side, wide. Sammy the Bull Laporta is lined up at the right side tight end. JAHMYR GIBBS is behind Goff. Monra on the left side. Josh Reynolds kicked out further on the far left side. So you're going 3 wide, 1 tight, 1 running back. Who's going to defend that? Who's going to defend that when Jameson Williams runs a streak or a post corner, right? Amon Ra comes zipping across the other side, across the middle. Sammy does the same thing, running a post corner across the other side. Josh Reynolds goes streaking and runs an in or an out. And then JAHMYR GIBBS goes flying through the backfield up the middle. Who is going to defend this? I don't think anybody. And that's what has me excited about having a guy like Jameson Williams that can take the top off the defense. All he has to do is run straight. And when you think about it, the cornerback's going to have to pick him up. The safety's going to have to come over the top. That's going to give Sam Laporta time to get wide open across the middle. And if Amon Ra gets open first, it's lights out either way. It's going to be exciting come week 5. If Jameson Williams is in, those are the types of plays that I expect to see. I'm not real sure that Goff and Jameson Williams are going to be able to catch fire together right away. I think it's going to take a few games, so don't get disappointed in yourself. Don't get disappointed in the Lions. Let's give J-Mo a little bit of time. At the end of the day, he's still young. He still has a lot to learn. He's made his mistakes. I'm sure he's moved on from it. He's never really gotten any bad press from us other than, just stop making the stupid mistakes. Show up, play ball, do your job, be a professional. Things will be fine. If you just buy in and listen to the coaches, things will be fine. So that's what we're expecting out of J-Mo when he gets back, is to be that decoy. Somebody that if he is open, Goff can hit him. And if he is open, he's probably going to take it the distance. But even if he's not open, and if he's not getting the separation, that he should be, he's still going to create a lot of opportunity and help produce for, the rest of the guys on the offense. The minute that play action opens up, when Monty is pounding the line time and time and time again, and the defense has to play the run honest, that's when this offense is going to open wide up. And that's when we're going to start seeing some of these big downfield plays. So moving on from the Packers, the Lions came in epic fashion. Beautiful night for football in Lambeau. Completely kicked the crap out of them up and down all angles of the field. Matt LaFleur was so upset last night in his press conference today. He was getting pissed at the reporters for even asking questions. He was so upset because the Lions just came in and smoked him. And that was good to see. Finally. It's good to see that Dan Campbell really does have a good hold on this team. Best coach we've had, and I can't tell you how long. maybe Wayne Font stays. I mean, I did like Jim Caldwell. I thought that Jim Caldwell was a good coach. I'll still never understand why they got rid of him for Matt Patricia. But it is what it is. You know, the Detroit Lions are on their way. And I'm glad to be right here where I am, part of this ride, and still here, part of the One Pride, and doing my thing as a fan and a loyal fan and trying to do my part. So I want to thank y'all as usual. Do us a favor and go check out villainsquad.store. Check out the new designs. There's going to be a couple new ones up tonight. Look for the JAMO is finally freed t-shirt that's going to be going up tonight. And let us know if you want custom stuff done. If you guys want any custom gear made, if you have some slogans that you want on a t-shirt, you will be able to buy them on our store. You can buy even one. You don't have to buy a minimum. We'll be more than happy to do your custom graphic design for you and put it up. If you're doing a family function and you need 20 shirts done, just let us know. We can make your design. We'll put it up. You can buy them right on the website. You can contact us directly. We can make you just about anything you need, whether it's a mug, a pillow, a blanket. Heck, I think we even have socks up there. But you can also get traditional Lions gear and officially licensed gear through our Amazon partners. And that's the best way you guys can support us right now. Click like, share, and subscribe. We got a contest going on through October 22nd right now. Facebook invited us to do this 30-day contest, and we're trying to earn the Best New Sports Page award. And if you guys can help by sharing our page and sharing our podcast and getting people to go to the Rock Down Detroit Lions page, that would be awesome of you guys. And whoever helps us the most, as long as we can meet our threshold for Facebook, we're going to have some excellent prizes that we posted. They're going to go out to the winners, starting with 2 tickets to a Detroit Lions game this season and or next season, whatever makes the most sense for you. But they will be available this season for the final game of the year versus the Vikings. So if you want to win, it's time to get in. Time to help out Rock Down Detroit Lions grow. All right, as usual, Don Wilburn, Hatter's House. Who else was in tonight? I think that was it. I thought I saw Mike Miller, but maybe not. And I apologize to anybody else that I couldn't get to the chat tonight. I just can't see them all. Appreciate y'all. You guys keep us moving. So until next time, go One Pride, go Detroit Lions. We'll see y'all later. Take care.
So, you know, we look like we're ready. But this is day one. It's about the work. And I've said that from day one. It'll always be the same message. It's about work. You got to go earn your right every year. It doesn't matter what the players are, the coaches, expectations, where you were, where you're going. We got to work, man.
Wants to throw it to Sewell. He caught it. Billy Sewell with a first down. Oh, yes. The big man dives down to the 31-yard line. Oh, that is beautiful.
Let me tell you something. I love this team now. I got goosebumps, gentlemen. I love this team.
Fields looking, pressured, hit from behind, taken down. Aiden Hutchinson got him.
What do you think about the secondary?
Just look at the name, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. You drafted Branch.
It started off with that huge hit on Beasley.
We call him, things out. There's a big hit right away. And boom!
Touchdown, Detroit Lions. Amon-Ra St. Brown. Goff dropped it in the bucket that time.
We're in our window now to win.
Aaron Rodgers exits the NFC North as a loser.